Hi everyone, delonewolf here. Welcome back to EVE Talk, your weekly look at the market in EVE Online. And I must say it's been a pretty interesting patch deployment this time for the month of January. Because for the first time, I don't think that I've been playing since 2009, and I don't think that I've ever seen a patch being rolled back completely on TQ. So that happened for the January patch. Week after that, I think they did deploy it, but I'm still seeing some performance issues here and there. Some lag when getting on grid. The drone window bug is still there, more annoying than ever, to be honest, if you're trying to mine in an Orca. And so I saw a post on Reddit that I actually sort of agree with. We have a lot of new features, a lot of stuff that the economy and the game needs to digest. A little bit of a focus on improving performance and getting rid of bugs might not be a good idea. So we'll see what CCP decides to do. And of course, we're here for the market. So let's get started with with plex as always, and that's going to be at 110. There we go, and they're going up. So this is a little bit of a surprise, but here you can clearly see that we've broken the mold after the very strong high point in November. We declined quite quickly, a bit of more hesitation since the new year, but now for the first time the 5-day moving average is again above the 20-day moving average and clearly pulling up. So the sellers are at 1,072 million, the buyers are at 1,030 million pretty much. If we take a look at the perimeter status, the sellers are at 1,056 million, so obviously they have to go up as well a little bit. The volumes are still quite decent, but they feel a little bit less, so maybe the pandemic horde war in perimeter, the siege there, might have a bit of an impact on people trusting the JITA market a little bit more than the perimeter market at the moment, which is probably part of the reason why there is this decline in the margin between the sellers in perimeter and in JITA itself. For the buyers, as you can see right here, the highest buyer is actually right here in the station, which is also something that we've not seen in a few weeks since we've also been checking plexes in the perimeter market. I think this is pretty interesting. I think the theory that most people will go by is that the economic numbers for December showed a very big increase in the ISK faucets, probably due to ratting in nullsec mostly. If I'm not mistaken, I never really took a full detailed look at the report myself. I only went by the comments so far. I should probably do that. But this inflationary faucets in ISK itself is a strong indication that more ISK is going to flow into plexes and thus increase the price. For me personally, it's okay. I still have 8 plex, I think, that I could sell. If we go above 1.2 billion again, then I will sell the rest of them. Otherwise, I'm waiting for a buy opportunity. I would say below 900 million is where I would make my move on plex as well. And during that time, while waiting for either opportunity to show up, I'm going to try and get my personal wallet up to 20 billion. And then anything above that is going to become investment money or money that goes towards stuff that I want, such as an Orca in the Solitude secondary base of operation, for instance. Let's take a look at the multiple pilot trading certificate next. That one is also going up, but in a bit more of a jagged chart here. Still, these are currently selling for 1,070 million, coming right in line with plex, and the buyers here are at 994 million, so a bit of a wider margin, but it's a much smaller market as well, with a peak volume here of 48, and that is basically what caused the increase in price right here. Pilot body resculpt for the first time in quite a long time, a chart that decently closely resembles the plex chart with an increase in price on higher volumes. Still higher volumes for the body resculpt is 27 of them, so that's definitely not a lot. And here at the tail end we can actually see that they're already going back down as well, on very low numbers on the sellers and the buyer side of things. So 266 million for the sellers, 235 million for the buyers. Much smaller market, hardly an indicator of something changing in the Plex market here. Skill extractors, of course, very strongly correlated with Plex. A little bit of a bug in the chart here, an empty volume day, but these are also going up, crossing 20-day moving average for the first time since the dip in November started. And the bottom here, 230 million, a little top here at 250. So that's almost 10%. It's a bit less than that, but pretty close to 10%. And you can see that the volumes here are still decently big. All of this in the last 24 hours, 2 pages, 3 pages. Yeah, for all of this is still in the last 24 hours. That's pretty crazy. Still going. So that's half the market, half the sellers market, including these 350 units, all of that in the last 24 hours. It's going to put a little bit of pressure on the price, down to 246.5 million, which is of course coming from these median daily highs here. Something pretty major must have happened. That is definitely pretty crazy. Is that the volume spike? It's not that noticeable, to be honest, although these few days here we do see pretty high volumes. And as a result, well, people are competing quite hard in order to get their skill extractor sold. In fact, so in the last 24 hours, if you look at the one starting here, we're going from 255 million ISK, which was a pretty damn good price, down to 246.5 million, which is all of this competition coming in 24 hours. So obviously the current price is the current lowest price on the sellers is probably a better indicator than the 255 where we started at. And then the buyers are at 237 million ISK, only 9 million ISK margin here, which is actually pretty low for skill extractors once again. Skill injectors next, that could actually be a bit of a better indicator. And here, interestingly enough, we are also seeing a meeting between the 5-day moving average and the 20-day moving average on a slight uptrend for skill injectors. So these are currently selling for 636 million and the buyers are at 608 million. Fresh supply, that's a bit better, a bit more logical, a bit over a front page in the last 24 hours. And then underneath here, you have some of these orders that still stick around that are at much higher prices. So 636 million for the sellers of skill injectors at the moment, and also an indicator of a slight uptrend starting to happen. It's definitely possible that for the skill extractors and for plexes, if you look at the median daily prices, and the same with plexes here, you see the very strong correlation in the chart. The move up to 1.4 billion was just a bit too sharp, and some sellers decided to start dumping at that price already. Me, I'm looking for 1.2 billion to be honest. Next up, we've got the mineral markets at 8 minutes. All right, let's start with titanium. And titanium, yeah, a little bit of a dip, a little bit of a falling off a cliff here. If you look at current median daily price of around 4 ISK, definitely not too good. Slightly higher volumes as well, so a lot might be coming in. If people were selling close to 4 ISK, all of that has of course been bought quite quickly, but 498, 497 starting to come in on the seller side of things. That's a bit disconcerting, the fact that the sellers are now willing to go below 5 ISK, including 1.5 billion units coming in right here. In the last 24 hours, not that many sell orders, all of those competing around 5 ISK. So if there's enough demand, this could get picked up and we could stay around or above 5 ISK. But the fact that sellers are coming in at this price is not a good indication. On the demand side of things, 483 with 1.7 billion, 2 billion here, 1.5 billion, which is an indication of strong demand. Still, if you look at the chart, I guess we're just gonna hover around 5 ISK at the moment. On a strong sellers day, we're gonna dip below 5 ISK. On strong buying, we're gonna go just above that, but there is no indication that will start going up or anything like that in the upcoming few days here. There is just really strong demand, but the supply is still coming in all the time and willing to go below 5 ISK to get rid of their titanium, which is actually a little bit crazy. Although not completely unheard of, to be honest either. 5 ISK for titanium is something that we have seen before. When it comes to pyrite, it's gonna be a little bit different. You can see the same pattern, right? After the Ascension expansion, we did go much lower all of a sudden from around 9 ISK to 7 ISK. Here you can also see that in the current trade range we're hesitating a little bit. On strong buyers we're going up in price a little bit, and then on stronger sellers coming in because of the slightly higher prices we're going back down. But on average we're staying around 7 ISK. Sellers are at 716, buyers are at 675, so right around those. Fresh sell orders, let's see, are we on a, we're probably at on a higher plateau at the moment, and as a response you can see more than a full front page of new sell orders coming in from 736 to 716, so the competition is happening right here in the seller side of things. And 7 ISK for pyrite though is very low, much lower than a normal low price for pyrite, whereas titanium is still okay, 5 ISK. So yeah, pyrite really low and hovering around the 7 ISK margin. Next up here we've got Mixalon. I think that's a bit different, yeah, because Mixalon is actually taking off until 73 ISK, and that makes it a little bit weird for me to still see pyrite at these pretty much all-time lows of around 7, because normally you'd have a slightly better price, I would think, compared to Mixalon. So Mixalon, after the Ascension expansion, went down to a low point of 54 ISK, is now going back to 73 ISK, 20 ISK increase in price, probably 30 to 40%, that's quite significant. The sellers, let's take a look at that, are at 75.41, not bad, you can definitely mine and sell that right to the market. Buyers are above 70 ISK, 70.49 as well, which is not bad either. And this is the first indicator that the mineral market might not be in as general a slump as what it looked like right at the start of November after the Ascension expansion, when everything was going to 6-month and even 1-year lows, including Mixalon. So this pushback here, Mixalon is the first one. It's usually the biggest mover as well, because it is a bit of a bottleneck when it comes to transportation. And as a result, that one coming back to the July prices is definitely not bad. Pretty sharp increase. It's the first indicator that we shouldn't completely panic or despair in the mineral market or for the miners. There is a chance that we'll come back from this. Next up here we get Isogen. That one is not confirming that, because in the last few days we're actually going back down towards low points. But here again, it's the same pattern as titanium and pyrite. After the November expansion, this one actually started a little bit earlier than that. We went down substantially from average prices around 90 ISK down to 60 ISK, which is all-time lows for Isogen, and now around this price range, which is basically bouncing off of 60, maybe hanging around 65, is where we're going up and down depending on whether supply or demand wins out on that particular day. Sellers are at 63 ISK, buyers are at 58 ISK, so it's really around 60 ISK that we're going to be hovering at the moment, which is extremely low for Isogen. But then keep that Mixalon chart in mind. It's not impossible that prices will come back for these as well. And so at the moment, if you're mining, of course, logically, especially in HiSec, you're going to favor any Mixalon sources. And when it comes to especially pyrite and Isogen, honestly, I would hold on to my stocks. I would try to get that price to go up and sell for a better price, for more ISK per hour on the mining that you're doing at the moment. For Noxium next, the in-between one, that's same pattern again. You can see November, another leg down towards 375, and now that hesitation, that movement around that price range right there. Sellers 378, buyers 334, fresh sellers almost a full front page, so people are still willing to dump from 382 to 377, so we're slightly under pressure here. Once, of course, we'll go below 375, I think people will hold off, demand will take over, we'll jump back up a little bit, but these are also very low prices for Noxium. Noxium that in the last few years has been double hit now, first of all by the mineral rebalance in nullsec. Noxium became basically abundant from nullsec, wormhole space, lowsec and highsec, and as a result it it got from, I would say, a normal price of maybe 800 to 450, with high points for Noxium used to be over 1,000 ISK. Can you imagine 1,000 ISK for Noxium? And now, of course, in November, hit by the changes to the mining ships like the Orca and the Orcal as well, and as a result below 400 ISK now, on average around 375, which is extremely low, and of course all of this will have its impact on Tech 1 ships as a result. For the Nelsec minerals next, let's take a look at Zytrine. Quite a different story as well. Hopefully this can indeed translate to a little bit of hope, because after going to a low point of 950 ISK at the Ascension expansion, we're now back up to 1300 ISK for Zytrine. That's a lovely increase in price. I sold a little bit early, but I was happy with the ISK that I made, because I was buying on this downslope here somewhere. Yeah, September, I think, August, September. I think I bought for around 1100 down to 1000, and now being able to sell for 1200, 1300 is definitely not bad. 1294 for the sellers, 1227 for the buyers. You can see that the market is still alive. I do like that. We used to have those really wide margins, but here now margin has closed on an increase in price. So a lot of demand, lack of supply, causing a price increase of 300 ISK. On a 950 ISK is almost 30%. Definitely not bad. If you still have Zytrine stocks, some decent money to be made there. And then here for Megasite, interestingly enough, very similar pattern with a bit of a top here that is starting to smoothen out just below 1600 ISK. Bottom of 1000, that is like 60% increase in price. Really not bad at all. I sold on this up like right here, I think. So again, a bit early, but still making some money. Sometimes it's about being happy with the profits that you're making as well in trading. And sellers right now are at 1576 ISK. Sellers, buyers are at 1488. So a bit of a wider margin, but to see the median daily prices on the 5-day moving average basically going sideways in the last 4 or 5 days is a strong indication that Megasite, while topping out, is not going to crater down right away either. If at this point the ISK has flown into Megasite and has flown into Zytrine, has flown into Mexalon, although that one still seems to have some momentum, there is a bit of hope that some of that fresh ISK that is coming from all the ratting will also start to go to other high-SIC minerals as well. And then of course, if you held on to your stocks, that should be pretty good for you, and it should allow you to up your ISK per hour on mining as well. So quite interesting in my book, especially seeing Zytrine and Mexalon go up in price quite substantially. You'll want to know Morphite. I almost forgot. Oh, look at that, very nice as well. We had a low point of 8,700 ISK. Here median daily prices are going up towards 11,000, I would say. Yep, 12,500 for the sellers, 11,000 for the buyers. You could have bought this Morphite for 9,000, and I bought several stacks up to 400 million, I think, so 4 stacks of 100 million at around the 9,000 price mark. So there you go, that's a nice 30% profit to be made right there as well. Interesting how the Nelsec minerals are going up in price quite substantially at the moment. Next up, we've got PI, 1830. Let's go over these. So here, construction blocks still going pretty much sideways in the last few weeks in January at an average price. A stronger summer, but this is still an okay price range to sell. Sellers are at 11,800, first one, but 12,000 should be possible. 11,200 for the buyers right there. So average price for construction blocks after a pretty strong summer. Same for consumer electronics, still a little bit of a downtrend here towards probably a bit above 10,000 ISK. Volume increase right here has not had an impact on the price, which is a little bit strange, and we can now start to see on the 1-year chart that for consumer electronics we're definitely coming towards the low end of averages. If we don't manage to break above or towards 12,500 ISK here again, and then we've got another leg down, then towards 10k we are going to start to be below average for consumer electronics. So fresh supply is starting to show a little bit of pressure on the price here. I think sellers will still be doing quite okay if the market wants to fetch the orders. 11,300 ISK, you know, okay, but around average. Buyers 10,500, probably starting to be a little bit below average, and closer to an okay price to actually start buying consumer electronics for a better opportunity. If you look at the summer here, 15k is a possibility. Coolons next, actually one of those late bloomers that is still doing quite alright, towards 12,500 ISK. A bit of hesitation at the tail end here, but if you can still sell for 12,900 ISK, that's definitely a really good price for coolants. Buyers are forced up to 11,900 ISK, which is probably a bit above average. Enriched uranium next, this one after a strong September fell back a little bit, is trying to claw back in the tail end here, so still definitely slightly above average at the current price range if you look at the full 1 year chart, but the pressure here again is starting to show, and 13,600 is not bad. Buyers at 12,900, not that many of them. So this lack of demand here in the number of orders is actually, I think, a bit of a threat to enriched uranium, because fresh supply coming in on the sellers, you won't have the equivalent on the buyer side, and these could mean more pressure on the price very quickly, which I think these down slopes right here are a bit of that showing up right here. So we clawed back from a low point of 11.8 thousand, which is probably close to the average price for enriched uranium. We're getting back up a little bit from that, but the lack of fresh demand right here is a bit disconcerting. I think fresh supply could cause quite a bit of pressure on this one. Mechanical parts next, that one is the anomalous one with actually a weak summer at around 9,000 ISK. If we look at August, beginning of the chart, you can see that on the 1 year chart, that's the low end of things. 10k to 11k normal average, which was around the Ascension expansion. And now we actually broke out to above 12,000 ISK, which at the moment we're selling for 12,600. Buyers are at 11,800. It's a good time to make and sell mechanical parts. These are very easy to make on barren planets. Just need one planet and pump out the mechanical parts. That means that's the reason why a really good price here is above 12k, and the reason really good price for some of the others is 15, 16k. Oxygen next, this one is showing the pressure of fresh supply dipping towards 400 ISK once in a while. You can clearly see in the last few months that we have been under pressure on the 1 year chart. Let's quickly show that actually. You can see that we're still at average at the moment, but here at the tail end, it doesn't have to drop too much anymore to be below average. So these are selling for, come on, yeah, look, this is, yeah, maybe that performance lag a little bit that's showing up in the client since the latest patch. But here we go, sellers 557, 558, 458, sorry, something like that. Buyers 446. So the market, there's some indication that we could bottom out, but on fresh supply again of oxygen, we could actually start to go below average. If you're seeing prices close to 400, like some of these median daily prices, which are followed by higher volumes, you know, that's probably a good price range to look into buying some oxygen around 400 ISK. Robotics next. We'll start with the charts. Very strong summer for robotics towards 110,000 ISK. Bit of a decline and then a sharp drop at the Ascension expansion. But here at the tail end, look at that, good news, slightly higher median daily prices towards 95,000 ISK. I would say we're still looking quite alright. Current price range is okay, 99,500 for the sellers. Definitely a good price for robotics. 93,000 for the buyers, quite a bit of a margin here. I think this is also almost an okay price to buy if you're using them, of course. So this is not an expensive price for robotics either. But you know, we're basically on average, and interestingly enough, we're actually climbing up a little bit in the last few days. It's going to be interesting to see if this has any momentum behind it. If it doesn't, and we actually start breaking 90k on the buyers, then of course we're going to start to be below average, and we might look into some buy opportunities, but they're not really showing up just yet. Rocket fuel next, it's the weird one with the median daily prices all over the place. You can see in the last few weeks since December, we have been under pressure, but only going back towards 12k, which I would say is still an okay price. If you look at this 1 year chart, it's quite a bit of a jaggedy chart, but it's also very straight. On average 12k, that's where rocket fuel is. Sometimes you're a bit below that, sometimes you're a bit above that, but it really doesn't move that much. So at the moment 11,500, let's disregard the one seller at 11,000, buyers are at 10,700, so it's kind of weird that it looks like an average price of 12k. Well, we're a bit below that at the moment. Sellers must be dictating most of the prices on rocket fuel, and I think it's basically one of the more stable PI materials that we're covering at the moment. Next up, for some of the bigger stuff here is self-harmonizing power cores. You can see the pressure since the November expansion, bit of a hype around the engineering complexes which need self-harmonizing power cores, but as we go along, of course, we're going to see lower and lower average prices. 2.3 million has been a daily average price, so sellers are at... Damn that lag. Whenever you want. Alright, I don't think we're out of it, but he really doesn't like what I'm doing here with the PI materials. God damn it. Estimated price 2.35 million. There we go. 2.325 million right here. You can clearly see from that as well, that sellers are going below the estimated prices, that there is this pressure and that these are going down. You know what? We're just gonna stick to the charts for the rest of PI then. Here are the superconductors. This one is unfortunately, so we'll quickly expand this up until June. So here we had, I think, the expansion of the citadels, which went up to 20k. Then of course the regular pressure after such a spike happened, we went down to 11.4k. Here next up, increase in price due to the Ascension expansion, and now here again we're starting to go back down to 13.5k, which is, I would say, still an okay price, a bit above average, but we can clearly see that you don't want to wait too long, because this has some momentum to it, just like it did after the Citadel expansion, and then we'll go back to average or even below average prices, which is probably 12, 11k, some 11k maybe, yeah, right here. That is probably where superconductors are going to become just average, and if we come closer to 10k, you're probably getting into buy order territory. Test cultures next. Really interesting one as well. That went up to 15k not that long ago, right at the New Year's. And of course, after an increase in price like that, from 7,200 to 16k, we're going back down now towards 11k. So quite a bit of volatility in the last few months here in test cultures. You had a great sell opportunity. Right now, you have to be a little bit careful that you're not starting to buy too early. Catching a falling knife is never a good idea in market trading. And finally, we've got wetware mainframes, which is also tied to structures quite heavily. So you can again see that jump up before the Ascension expansion from 2.25 million to above 3 million pretty much. And now here, although it's very slow, there is some pressure on wetware mainframes as well, going down towards 2.65 million ISK. But very slowly. Wetware mainframes, especially for the Citadel expansion in May, was a serious bottleneck. That one jumped up quite a little bit higher. So I think that basically these are slightly more difficult to make than the self-harmonizing power cores for some reason, which is why its decrease in price is much less pronounced. But if you look at the 20-day moving average, you can see that it is there, slowly going down. Self-harmonizing power cores, much more obvious, of course, right here, the downtrend. So structures and the related PIs now are of course being absorbed by the market, and maintaining a regular supply for these will probably mean oversupply at the moment compared to the demand that brought the prices up towards 3 million, that is. Next up, Tech One chips, 2940. There we go. So here I'm interested to see if anything like this is happening, and for the Caracal it did. So average prices went below 10 million, 9.75. Then here we jumped up to quite a bit more. Of course, that's too volatile. The market is going to push back a little bit from that. But the question is, where are the sellers at, above or below 10 million? 10.6 million for the sellers, 10 million for the buyers as well. Forced up a little bit, and I think that the increased price for Mexalon, the sharp increased price for the Zytrine and Megasite as well, is going to stop this regular descent that we've seen since the Ascension expansion in Tech One chip prices. Now, sometimes it could be decently volatile, like the Caracal. I think when prices went as low as 9.5 million for a Caracal, some of the bigger groups said, you know what, these are PvP ships, let's buy quite a few of them. So you have a decently big volume spike here all of a sudden that forms as the price here decreases, thus violently pushing the price up when one of the big buyers comes in. But we could also see this slowing of the descent and a slight uptrend as well, as the new Zytrine, Megasite and Mixel prices are going to be factored in by the sellers and the producers. Cursor, it's only a destroyer, so this one is really very uneventful, extremely flat chart at the current price range. Sellers 1.3 million, buyers 1.164 million. You can see that this is a pretty inactive market by the very low number of buy orders. So the Dominics could be a bit more interesting if only, in about a month we'll be rid of this data point and we'll have better charts right off the bat. But we can see the stopping of the descent here. We went from around 200 million down to 160 million at the lowest end. This was together with the Ascension expansion, and remember, this is the same decrease in price that we saw for all the high-sec minerals. Null-sec minerals were at a low point as well, and as a result, of course, producers could make ships so cheaply that they were crashing the prices on all of that supply. Here, the first sign of hesitation, and now I do think that we'll see the 20-day moving average slightly move up on the increased price of some of the minerals at the moment. The real question is going to be, of course, will this translate to higher high-sec minerals like titanium and pyrite as well at some point? Personally, I think it will. A rising tide tends to rise all ships, I think is one of the sayings in the market as well. And I think basically this is partly going to be because of the faucets of ISK that are being created in the game at the moment. So this could be actual monetary inflation as well. It's something to keep in mind. When that stops, we could have some deflation or something like that happen as well. You want to be in the right markets at that point, but right now, at the moment, if inflation becomes really the name of the game, if we can see that those ISK faucets in the monthly reports keep being really high, keep going up, then I would say, trying to get into goods that are at low points, that will increase in price, is a good idea. And I think that maybe some Tech One ships, if they're still pretty low, if you can currently buy Dominics for less than 160 million, might be part of your investment strategy. Merlin next, pretty violent chart for a frigate, to be honest, and the reason is of course that we have the Ascension expansion right here. So this probably decrease in mineral prices went down from around let's say 400,000 down towards 300,000 at the low point. Then Caldari, probably one of the more popular alpha races, meant increased demand, increased activity in Merlins, thus price went back up to 400, and now we're settling at a bit above 300,000 right here, currently selling for 330, 331, buyers are at 285, so slightly higher price than what it could have been, I think, on activity, but decently stable in the last few weeks. And I think that's because it's a frigate, and frigates of course don't need that many minerals, thus the price changes have a slightly lower impact on the Merlin prices themselves. The Oracle here is another one of those that clearly shows the pattern. Since November, the Ascension expansion, we went to a pretty low point of 66 million ISK. Here is the hesitation, and the question is, after this decrease in price, of course, if you go up from 66 to 76 ISK in a matter of a week, the market is going to respond to that a little bit. But the question is, are we going to start bouncing up a little bit on the higher mineral prices? I personally think that that is going to happen. So 74 million for the sellers, 61 million for the buyers of oracles. Raven next, very similar pattern. This one went down to 150 million, even an average price, daily price here on the 20th of December. That would be, I think, of 140 million, which is pretty damn crazy. Now we're going up slightly, and 168 for the sellers, 153 for the buyers. I think it's normal that battleships are the first ones to be impacted by the higher mineral prices, since they need the most of them. Thrasher next, it's a destroyer that is actually pretty low in price at the moment, 1 million. Buyers, are they below a million? Yeah, 920,000 ISK for a Thrasher is pretty low. This is one of those that, you know, if you really don't know what to do with your ISK and you're expecting inflation right now, just look at this chart here, look at the margin as well, almost 100,000, more than 100,000 ISK. So definitely more than 10% between the buyers and the sellers. Hasn't moved in a long time here. I would say, yeah, you could maybe just purchase a couple of Thrashers and then wait for that one to maybe sell for 1.5 million or something like that on higher prices at some point. I think it's possible. Tornado next, again, battle cruiser. The decrease here after the Ascension expansion to a low point of less than 60 million, went up to 70 million in a matter of maybe 10 days, which was a bit too sharp. But here, median daily prices staying at 65 million. And I think if minerals go up, we'll see that pressure go up as well. 66.5 for the sellers, 56 million for the buyers. Tristan next, also some volatility. Here again, an increase in price, I think, for alpha clones of Galente races, right? A lot of interest in Tristans, one of the really good frigates that you can just jump right in, do some PvP in as well. But all of that has been absorbed, and together with the lower mineral prices, we went to low points of 400,000 ISK, and we're still hovering around that. 450 for the sellers, 435 for the buyers. I would say that again, we need to see all minerals go up before we'll see the impact on frigates, but for the bigger ships, it is showing up. The Venture next, still I would say in investment territory. I think part of this is mineral decrease, another part is that Ventures were given out on gifts, so you can still buy these for 180,000 ISK, which is very cheap. I'm actually a little bit surprised that more are not being bought, but on this decrease in price, look at that, some volume spikes. I do think some people are picking up Venture stocks in order to try to sell them for maybe 300,000, 200,000 and 50,000 ISK compared to 180 at the moment. It'll take patience, but in an inflationary scenario for ISK itself, that could actually definitely be a good investment. And Vexor next, also taking off at the tail end here, going to 11 million after a low point of around 10 million, with an average is probably close to 12 million. So the sellers are at 11.5, let's disregard the one seller at 11, buyers at 10.2 million. Not that much supply here in the Vexor market, but yeah, it's a cruiser, it's not as big as what you would like to see, but if this continues and minerals go up as well, I think that's going to be the impact. So this one could actually be very important if Vexors continue to go up, because the market is not that big, there's not that much to absorb at the moment. Then this could be a strong indication that minerals are going up and that Tech 1 ships are going to increase in price as well as a result of that. Okay, pretty cool. Moving on to Tech 2, 3850. There we go. And let's take a look at these. As you know, I've switched to mostly Tech 2 frigates because those seem to at least show some volatility. And here is the Ares jumping from 21.5 to 24.2 million. Sellers are at 24.2. So you could have probably bought these for less than 21 million. Now you can sell them for 24 million. You're probably making a little bit of ISK on that. It's not a great opportunity, but it shows that there is some volatility in these markets. And of course, interceptors very popular in Nasdaq wars at the moment. So if something happens there is a good chance that if you bought at these low points here for, let's say, less than 21 million, wait for the right opportunity, you might make some good money on that one. Here, this is not the right opportunity, it's a slight opportunity. Next up here, we've got the Claw. Similar spike up to 33 million that is being absorbed at the moment. Of course, we are going to go down. If you look at regular buy opportunities, probably 21.5 on average. So buying for less than 21 is probably not a bad idea. Get those orders because they could be interesting. 24 for the sellers, 19.5 for the buyers, less than 20 million for the Claw already. And as you can see here on these average prices, you could have sold them for 30 million. So that's 10 million on a single Claw. That's definitely not bad, even with taxes in JITA at the moment. So there you go, Claw showing activity, showing spikes, showing an opportunity. Quite interesting. On high volumes as well, there must be a big player involved, but it shows that at least it's possible. The Crow next, also absorbing a bit of a jump up that happened probably 2 weeks ago, up to 27 million, 23 as an average. We're back down to that, where are the buyers at 22.9 million, less than 23 million. Crow probably pretty popular interceptor because of the missile damage it can do. As a result, a little bit of a premium compared to the others, but we're back towards a low point. It's up to you to decide whether or not you want to invest in these, but at least you see can now buy them for less than 23. You had sell opportunities at 28 million. Not too bad. Much better than some of the cruisers and stuff like that. Ares now that's interesting. Was really stable for like 3-4 months right here. On average 44 million. Are we 45.5 million. So it's more of an anomalous data point, I think, up here at 92 million. That's pretty crazy. Let's hope that the median daily price can be worked down. So no, don't go in just yet. 33 million for the buyers though is pretty low. You might have an opportunity. That's actually pretty crazy low. 33 million to 45 million is 12 million in between those, which is like a third of the buyer price. That's pretty crazy. So yeah, Ares, not sure if it's ever gonna move a lot, but as an interdictor, if a lot of them are lost, maybe some panic buying could create an opportunity. Surprisingly wide margin here. Flycatcher next, also an interdictor, not moving that much. Are we seeing the same here? Bit of an anomalous data point, 54 million, not much to say to be honest. Heretic next, that one is more alive. Look at that. So starting the 6 months at 57 million, going down to 45 million, 12 million decrease in price. First spike here, 58 million. Here another one at 54, and we went down to 45, not bad. And now we're actually at a high point as well at the moment, around 56. Sellers 57 million, buyers 51 million. If you have heretics and if you ever bought them close to 45 million, which is a possibility, you're making a decent amount of money on this one. The Hound next, lovely double spike. That's good double spike. How long has it been since I've been able to say that on a Tech 2 ship? That's really crazy. But yeah, first buy opportunity, let's say below 20 million was a possibility. Selling at 30, going down to 20 again, selling at 30 once again. And now of course the second spike is being absorbed, but we're still selling at 25.5 million. Buyers are at 24 million. You could have bought Hound for I think 18 million on the best opportunities, less than 20 million for sure. Lovely to see, awesome. Malediction next, it's an interceptor working on something here as well, but the most interesting part to me, I think, is that we went as low in the last 6 months as 20.5 million. Currently the averages are quite a bit above that, but yeah, we're empty of those. So if you have maledictions, please try to sell them at this price spike. 21.4 for the buyers. We're still having a decent, a really big margin here, obviously, but you had probably buy opportunities close to 20 million a while ago. If on this volatility we can test that again, we can go back down substantially on a lot of production or a lot of dumping all of a sudden happening. This could be the start of some volatility finally in the Tech 2 market. Part of that again could be the higher ISK faucets, now that I think about it. If that maintains its pace, if that happens, right, inflation in currency tends to create some more bubbly effects, and the first ones that could possibly take advantage of these might be Tech 2 smaller ships. So it's still crystal ball looking. There's definitely a big possibility that I'm wrong, but if I'm right, it would be really good to keep a close eye on this market. Here's the Manticore again. If I maybe take a chart since May, here you can see this decrease in volatility that was happening. Here again, decrease of peaks and then a steady bottom right here. Finally, at the tail end here, we do have some volatility showing up, which is really good. Bottoms of 23 million, here again, highs of 29 million, and here 28 million, 5 million. Not the super big bucks, but definitely not that bad either. 23 million. Can you buy below that? 24, so we need to go down a little bit, but at the moment sell opportunity in Manticores as well. Nemesis next, coming off of a high point of 29 million, here down to 21 million, here as low as 21 million again. So the buyers below 20 million is not bad if you expect this volatility to continue. Decently wide margin as well, but you can see that there is pretty strong supply, so there is going to be this bit of pressure on the price to go down from 23 towards maybe 21, 22 on average. Great opportunity to buy again. Hope for this volatility to continue, and then that could be pretty damn good. So Purifier next. Man, that's awesome. Another one that just went up, that is in seller territory, up to 30 million, low point 21 million. Again, stealth bombers, if you can buy them below 20 million, you're bound to make some really good money on that. And at the moment selling for 24.5 million, buyers are 21 million, so we do need these to get under pressure a little bit for a great buy opportunity, but it's showing the first signs of Tech 2 market coming alive again. Awesome. Saber next, another one of these interdictors, but not bad here. 47.5 as a low point, 57.6 as a high point, and now unfortunately staying between 51 and 54 million. That's not where you're gonna make money, but hopefully we can get this either higher or under pressure again towards this low point of 48 million, let's say, and look for a buy opportunity in these as well. So awesome to see some volatility in the Tech 2 market, to be honest, because I loved that one for this volatility, for the trade potential. Let's maybe quickly try to see some of these good ones here. The Claw, for instance, 21 up to, let's say, easy 30 million. 9 million, 10 million on a 20 million purchase, 50%, and this is in a matter of 1, 2, 3, 4 days. We go up to 33 million. That's where you make money. That's where you can really take some gambles and make some real ISK in the market. 50% in 4 days. That's pretty hard to beat. This is the stuff that we like. And then the other one, where was the double spike? I think it's in the Hound. This is of course really awesome as well, right? You can buy for 20 million twice in a matter of around a month, and you can sell then for 27, 28 million twice as well in a month. Now, you're not going to do that with thousands and thousands of ships, but if you do this with maybe 5, 10 Hounds, which is still 100 million, let's say that, and you can then make 5, maybe 7 million on each one of those, 100 million invested, 50 million profits. Not bad at all. Not sure if my math is exactly right there. I don't think it is. It's more like 400 million investment, 50 million profit. But the fact that you can do this like twice in a month is really, really good. And of course, especially I would say not the Aries, but the Claw increase here on these volumes is where you're making a lot of money. Really good to see. And then Tech Tree Ships next, 48.45. There we go. Let's see what those were doing, because they were actually at pretty low points. Here is the Confessor again, going really low as well, 32 million. 33 million for the sellers, 30.6 million for the buyers. It's up to you to decide. I understand that this is pretty risky when it comes to the tactical destroyers, because they've been hit by the nerf bat so bad, but they are also now at, I'm gonna take the freaking 1 year chart, at 1 year lows right there quite substantially. So it's up to you to decide if whether or not you want to invest in this. Don't look at this as a short-term trade, but for longer term on inflation, if you look at this chart, it should be a pretty good time to buy these. Hecate next here, 1 year chart, again 1 year low price point, currently selling for 33.7 million, buyers are at 31 million. You can say, well, they've become so bad that this is the normal price range, 30 million for a tactical destroyer, or you can say, nope, this is a 1 year low, this is actually an opportunity. Next up here, the Jackdaw again. Right here, median daily price 33 million, definitely 1 year low, 34 for the sellers, 30 million for the buyers. And finally the Zwepel, actually crawling out of a hole of 31.5 million, but still median daily price all over the place, volumes all over the place. People are speculating heavily on this market. I think you can see that from the volumes. Buyers at less than 30 million for this Zwepel. So there you go, look at that. Look at the volumes here as well on this volatility. Confessor, look at the volumes right here. Hecate, look at that, and Jackdaw. So a lot of people are making their moves in these markets. Some people are dumping, some people are buying, but 1 year low prices, they are here. It's up to you to decide whether or not you want to risk an investment in these. When it comes to the cruisers, right, these exist for quite a little bit longer. I would say you're in a more certain territory. I also don't think that these are in the line of sight for nerfs or anything like that. And then here you can once again see that we are at bottom prices for these legions for sure. Sellers 136, buyers 128, not that many buyers, so this could again be a decent investment as well. As always, you know, because I'm telling you guys that you might want to buy some of this stuff, don't go overboard, don't go crazy, don't buy 200 Lokis, don't put all your money in a single thing. I would always tell you guys to take your time and to dollar cost average as much as possible, but some of these are in really interesting places for purchases. Here the Loki, for instance, went as low as 110 million. That was obviously a place where you should have bought if you look at this full 1 year chart, and currently they are selling for 132, buyers 123, which is still a pretty low price, 123. So it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to invest in all of this stuff. But look at the Proteus again, really under pressure quite heavily towards 130 million. 122 for the buyers, 138, 139 for the sellers. Very low price, pretty wide margin as well. 1 year lows are coming into play. And finally for the Tengu, once again, we're even lower than the bottom during the summer, which was at around 140, and then you could have sold them here for 170. Currently 140 again showing up, but 142 for the sellers, 130 for the buyers, which is pretty low as well. Now a big part here is probably going to be what happens in wormhole space, I will admit that, but again, just look at these charts and do you expect more stability, even more output from wormhole space, or perhaps someone will finally throw a wrench in the industrial machine of Tech Tree ships that could create a great opportunity. So I think that this is pretty interesting. At the moment though, I want to fatten my wallet to the point, because I think plexes could do interesting things this year as well. If we go back up to 1.2 billion, then right, that could be really good to sell the rest of them and then wait for a summer buy opportunity towards 900 million. And I want to be ready either way. I think 20 billion liquid, which would be probably 20 plex to buy as well. If it comes down to 900 million, I think that's where I would like to make my risky endeavors. So I think at the moment I'm going to go for some extra ISK, but anything above that, if the market stays the way it is now, is going to go towards other stuff. I would say as an investment, Tech 3 ships do look pretty interesting. I think minerals could actually move before I even make the 20 billion mark. Considering what Mixalon is doing. And now for the final product, those were just some musings. Well, continuing in this musing, if you're still here, you're definitely really interested in ETH talk. Considering what I'm seeing here now on this 1 year chart, it has more information. Do you guys want me to run an ETH talk fully on 1 year charts to see what that is like? Because it's less detailed, right? You're not going to see short-term movements on this one anymore. You're not going to get some short-term trends. Possible trend breaks, I think, will be much more difficult to spot. But the relative position on a 1 year chart is much more interesting, especially here if you look at Mixalon. This is a clear indication 75 is a really good place to sell your Mixalon at the moment, for instance. Much better view of volumes as well. So let me know in the comments if you would like to see, or if you would maybe prefer ETH talk on fully on 1 year charts, or if I should stick with the 6-month charts. And then for the extra products at 55 minutes, all right, on the dot, I got a request for Tech 2 logistics, so we're going to do that. There are frigates and there are cruisers. So let's start here with the Deacon. 1 year chart, very interesting. We're coming off of a high point, which was around mid-December. Yeah, 15th of December right here. 30 million, currently back down to 20.1 million, which is... well, which is actually still, if you look at the full 1 year chart, that's still 1 hour, right? Yes. If you look at the full 1 year chart, we're still around average for the Deacon, 22 for the sellers, 19 million for the buyers. From the recent future, this is actually a low point, but on average, it's still okay. So the Deacon is basically right now back on its average after a high December right here. Next up for the Kirin. I mean, I don't have a lot of experience with these either. Don't really fly them. Kirin, ooh, very interesting. Look at this increased volume right here, and a lovely price spike for the Kirin, going from 24 million up to 40 million. Currently selling for... fetch me those orders. I know you want to shut down in an hour, but... we need the information. Lack of buyers, 38 million for the sellers though. Really a pretty big jump up here for the Kirin. If you can make these, if you have these, it's your time to sell. Lovely to see some volatility in these as well. This is making me want to add these logistics frigates to the Tech 2 checking. We'll see if we do it. They're gonna start to become really long ETH talks if I do that though. Here again, the Thalia December high point of 28 million, very low point of 15 million, currently back on its average, selling for, I would say, 19 to 20 million is a possibility. Yeah, 22 million in fact, 18 million for the buyers, pretty wide margin, and yeah, some volatility at the tail end here again. And then for the Scalpel, load, thank you. On a high point as well, very interesting, up to 30 million from a low point of 16 million, and 34 million for the sellers, 25 million for the buyers. Very interesting, awesome suggestion to be honest. I am very tempted to add these to the Tech 2 ships, because they are frigates, they're Tech 2, and they show volatility. So I'm gonna sleep on that, but I think I might do it. Then let's take a look at the logistics cruisers. So we get advanced cruisers, logistics, MR. Let's take a look at the Guardian chart. As you can see, much less volatility to be spotted here. We're basically hovering around the 180 million mark. At the moment 190, up a little bit on slightly higher volumes. Since around just before and just after January, currently selling for 220, buyers are at 175. I would say definitely above average for the Guardian, but not as volatile as the frigate so far. Here's the Basilisk again. Look at that. Since April here, May Ascension expansion, increased taxes. We never really went above this price range. We never really, we went below here once. You had one buy opportunity at 180 million. But yeah, currently selling for 200 million. Buyers are at 186. You can see the big difference in volatility when it comes to these Tech 2 cruisers, which used to be really good money makers, very much in volatile ways here. The Oneros was one of the exceptions, I would say, yeah, during EVE talk, because right here we did have that bottom at 140 and that lovely price spike up to 200 million, which after that generated a little bit more of some volatile waves here as well, going back down to 170, then back up to 190. So you could make some money on this one, but the general trend here has been down to a bottom once again of 150, and in the last few weeks up to 170 again. Maybe, yeah, weeks I should say, maybe last month or so. 178 for the sellers, 164 for the buyers. And then finally the Scimitar, also very popular one. That is interesting. Scimitar, big jump up. That was a great opportunity if you would have bought at 140. Currently selling for 200 million. Yep, 190 for the sellers, 140, 50 million profit. Definitely not bad at all. 30% just like that in a matter of 1 month though. Keep that in mind. This is a bit slower than some of the frigates, but really good to see again some indication that some volatility is coming back in the Tech 2 market. So thank you very much for that suggestion. Tech 2 logistics was great, especially the frigates. Really interesting to see what was happening right there. Just to give you guys a bit of perspective, maybe here's the Scimitar chart, and then we'll quickly go back to Tech 2 ships to the Hound chart. Now that within the almost within the price spike of the Scimitar, you have this double spike on the Hound. This is volatility. This is where you make trades in 4 or 5 days in around a week, and you make 50% profit. So I still prefer the frigates compared to the cruisers, to be honest, when it comes to trying to make some twitch trades on this one. So there you go, guys. Really very nice suggestion. Great to see Tech 2 market alive a little bit more, and I'm gonna see if we're gonna add these logistics frigates to the Tech 2 regular pattern, because I think if you're looking to risk some money in order to make some money, then these Tech 2 frigates are starting to look pretty damn interesting. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I will see you all next time.